Bienvenido, damas y caballeros. Welcome back to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. Send in those questions and suggestions, ffnquestions@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Freeform Network. We appreciate catching up with us on social media. Be kind of lax lately, but hopefully we'll ramp it up a little bit now with this new year. But again, this is Freeform Radio. I am one of your hosts. My name is Daniel. With me today is Andy.
It's all good. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everybody has their New Year's resolutions on track by the time this episode drops. Hope everybody's doing the best they can, because usually, what I recall, usually people, I think by the time this episode drops, I already gave up on their New Year's resolutions. So
Right.
keep steadfast and make it happen. At least make it to February.
Right. Yeah, and I know I was feeling a little under the weather, so it's just me and Andy today. Andy, I've been meaning to ask you. I keep forgetting. What's this? It's all good, Andy. Did you get that from Better Call Saul, or what? Where's that from?
Like me being a good businessman, I'm thinking down the road. So
Oh, so
when we
that's like
hit
your
the
little
big time,
catchphrase?
that's gonna be like my nickname.
Okay.
I might
All
have
right.
T-shirts, the whole works, man.
Little catchphrase so
Yeah.
that people know, like speedy
Don't worry, man.
delivery,
I'll take care of the network. You guys, you get like 0.5% or
residuals.
something. Yeah,
Right.
man.
Right. So it's like
And then when I
Mr.
split off and get my spin off, it's gonna be the It's All Good Andy show.
Okay. I don't know if it was like a Tony Roberts or was that the guy's name? The
Tony
positive,
Roberts. Is that the guy with the pony? No, that's the self-help guy, right?
the self-help guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if that's what the whole gimmick was for that or what.
Man, I don't want to say it's a gimmick, but yeah, maybe I don't want to get too wrestling.
Yeah, your
Yeah, but
box of
it's my
gimmicks.
gimmick, man. My Baxo gimmicks. If you're early on in the episode, in the earlier episodes in our website, the what do they call them? The back episodes or whatever. I used to do a couple different things, but I kind of liked It's All Good. But I'm glad you acknowledge it like 5 years later.
Right. I just noticed like last week.
He's like, yeah, man, what's all this shit? I've been doing it for like I don't know about I don't know, like I think after episode around 20, I think I started doing it, and like we're in episode 100, and I think this one's it's gonna be 162.
Yeah,
So
162. Yeah.
we've been on a long time, so I'm glad finally someone noticed.
Right. No, well, we're all back together. Weather is half decent. I know Noel usually likes to toss in the weather here. It's half decent. It's like a little crisp outside, but not too terrible. A little bit of snow out on the grass, but nothing ridiculous. So we're plugging away, and it's feeling good right now. So let's jump into our week. Andy, this is something that I've been actually wanting to do, and Alana actually uses this quite a bit because in our bedroom we don't have cable. Well, we don't have cable anywhere, but we don't have something to use for streaming, and that's that you got Comcast or Chromecast upgrade, or are you thinking about it, or you finally bite the bullet? Because I know you've been
So
talking about it.
no, I had to this very week. I love Chromecast. When it came out, I bought the first gen, the dongle. Um, I mean, I saw how easy it is to use, and I saw reviews back in the day. Damn, I want to say I've had it for almost a decade, maybe close to a decade. I
Yeah,
don't remember
probably.
when it's really old now that when I look at it. And last year on Black Friday, I purchased one of the newer versions of the Chromecast,
Okay.
and I've had it sitting here in the house for a while.
That 4K one, or right? There's a 4K one
No,
now,
no,
right?
it wasn't the 4K. It's the third gen one. So it's
Okay.
I know that I saw the new one. There's like a home one and like with like TV and like live TV one. It's the one, a couple ones before that one.
Okay.
So so my old first gen Chromecast still worked. It was starting to get I don't know, some of the higher, like I would get HD on it, but it wasn't high HD like 1080, maybe 720. I'm thinking, or maybe 1080, but on the newer apps, the streaming apps like Peacock, Pluto, HBO Max, it would be kind of buggy and it wouldn't work as smooth. And like you can see, there's a lot of buffer. And I'm
Right.
starting to think like, man, I think it's the dongles. So I
You,
bought
you
it
you didn't
last
think it
year.
was the internet by any
No,
chance?
my internet's pretty good with the Comcast we have. It got bumped up to, I used to get the 25, it got up to 50 MPS. So it's been pretty smooth.
You
Even
don't
with that
have
upgrade.
internet issues anywhere else?
Nah, not really. My Wi-Fi
Okay.
at the house is pretty good. I do
All
the
right.
download speed. Once in a while, if there's a lot of traffic, usually like after work, it gets you see some buffering issues, but it kind of catches up after like a minute or two.
Right.
But so we HBO Max, we get it part of our with our cell phone package, and I was just like, man, like I was watching some football yesterday. Like I wanted to watch some of the playoff football, and I was just like, I don't want to watch it on the tablet. So fuck it, I busted it out. I hooked it up. It was rather easy. Once I set everything up, I started pushing it to the limit to see how it works. HBO Max works flawlessly. Pluto, all that, all the ones that had issues in the past work flawlessly. Uh,
So it was noticeable the improvement?
yeah, there was no like on HBO Max. There's a lot of buffering, like a lot. It would like pause and just spin, and you see the buffering sign.
Right.
This one I plugged it in and it got going like within 30 seconds, and I have no buffering issues. Um, like last night I was watching it after the one of the football games. I was watching Entourage, and I plugged it in, and it started going right away. No buffering issues. I tried in like a movie, like one of the newer ones, um, like 8-Bit Christmas, and there was no fucking issues. It just started playing. I'm like, sweet. I think it's just the first gen Chromecast. It just
Time
it's
finally caught up to
it
it.
caught up to him, and the technology just got too fast, and it couldn't handle it. And so I already have it uploaded on my Macari page, and trying to get some like $10, at least $10 for it to pay for the Chromecast that I bought last year. I think I only paid like $30 for it, so it wasn't too
Right.
easy.
Yeah, I don't think I jumped on that early to Chromecast, but you definitely sold me on it. You kept talking it up, and I ended up buying it. And when I first got it, I didn't really use it a lot. I mean, I don't really stream things on my phone and then, cast it to my TV. I've always had a PlayStation in my like main TV area, and I've always used that for streaming. But now that in the bedroom, I was looking for something to stream, and especially Alana, she watches a lot of YouTube videos with like cooking, cleaning, and some of her coding stuff that she does. And so I kept yelling at her. I'm like, you can't keep staring at that phone so close to your face. I'm like, why don't you cast it to the TV? And then we ran through it, and ever since that, man, she uses it all the time. I mean, she'll toss it onto the TV and uses it. But yeah, we do. It is the first generation, so we do run across some of the issues you mentioned.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like anything with Google the that works with Chromecast, it's awesome. Even with the first gen one, when I would play music, if there was no moving picture, somehow like it screwed it up, and it would like there would be like a pause or a buffer. And that's the first thing I did yesterday. Like some people put just like the picture of an album, and then they just hit the song, and you hear the song playing, and somehow it was like messing it up with this Chromecast, this gen. It would just play with no issues. It was fast. You could see like how ahead it was from, you see that line, that gray or white line, and where you're playing at, you see how all that data's in there. It was like way ahead or just about done, and I'm just like, all right, it should be no issues with this. And I've always loved Chromecast. I think they rebranded it recently, maybe a year ago.
Oh
It's
wow.
not Chromecast; it's something different. It's like Google Home. They're pushing the
Oh
live
okay.
TV. But with YouTube, it works great. Facebook, it works great. And then for people like poor people like me who don't have a smart TV, this works great because it has the background pictures. It keeps moving. They put like an island or whatever, and then it also has the time, has weather, and there's a couple other things you could do.
Yeah,
And
that
it because I don't have a smart TV, I'm kind of like the conspiracy nut in me is still like kind of freaked out how they could listen into it. So I have this, and because I still got an old LCD TV that I bought like 15 years ago.
right. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, I really didn't use it a lot myself. Most recently, the only times I would use it was like trying to stream NFL because you know, when I talk about my topics, I've been using Sling for watching football, and I'll try to stream it, and it would buffer, and then finally it would start playing. And at first, I'm thinking it was the Sling app. I'm like, man, this Sling app just sucks. I don't know if I'm going to keep it after football ends this season, which is in a couple more weeks. But I don't know. Maybe it's the Chromecast that's an issue because I got that first gen one. Maybe that's just that.
It just happens. You remember the PS3 when it was like they had like all these apps, Hulu and WWE Network and all this. Then
Right.
over time, when the PS4 was out for a while, they're like, we're not gonna support uh, those apps that are on that format or whatever, that version for that uh, uh, hardware, like PS3. So eventually, I think that's what kind of happened. They kind of, I don't want to say I didn't really dig into, but I'm imagining it just didn't have the updates, and plus it's older, and so it was just due to upgrade it. And like I said, it worked great with like YouTube and some of the Google stuff. Everything else, it would take a minute to buffer, and then it wasn't as flawless. That's how I gotta keep saying. And I use the shit out of it. I've always loved it. Um, I like hitting if I'm streaming something on my tablet, I just hit that button, it goes onto the TV automatically, and it just starts playing. So I use it for all the apps, Hulu, HBO Max, Pluto. I mean, uh, Netflix, Prime. When Prime got into, they started working with Chromecast. Man, it may put a big smile on my face because I had to do all this other shit to get it to play on the TV. And when that happened, I was like, great. I just hit that button and I'm good to go.
Yeah, no, man, good stuff. I noticed there's still some apps that don't have that little Chrome icon for streaming, and they only have the Apple one.
Yeah,
So I'm still waiting for it to be more
yeah.
widely thing, but it is
Um,
used on a lot of apps.
I have an iPad, and I'm always. I was thinking about getting the what is it called, the Apple TV dock or whatever the fuck. Buy like a cheap one because a lot of the websites where I stream like sports and movies, they don't have Chromecast, but they do have that AirPlay crap. And I'm like, which I find weird. I don't know if that's an iPad thing, but they'll have that. And I was like thinking about trying to find like a used one, like a last gen one, just to see how it works. But I got that a couple Christmases ago. Someone gave me the HDMI adapter for the iPad, and when I hit that, that works pretty flawlessly too. My only issue is like I gotta put my fucking tablet like close to the TV and walk away. I don't have that control. Like if I need a pause, I have to get up, pause, and all this other shit.
Right, right. No, Chromecast is it's a good device. I like it, but unfortunately, I think it might be because I have the older version, so I might have to keep an eye out for an upgrade and maybe next Black Friday pick one up so that my wife could stream more stuff and then
Yeah,
so maybe I can use it on some
to
stuff
me,
too.
it's always about simplicity. And I know smart TVs are great. I've seen reviews on them, but I'm still I still how can I put I still like downloading stuff and like just streaming it to the TV. And the simplest thing has always been Chromecast. Even the VLC player, I believe, has a Chromecast uh, 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 application to it too. Um, and I kind of that's why I always liked it. And it's been a while since I've done that, but yeah, I mean, I highly recommend. I always recommend it to people. again, they got rebranded, I believe, and it's I looked into the new one a little bit. It's a little, they're really pushing that YouTube or that live TV thing on there, and you could do rewind and all this crazy shit. And I don't got cable, and I'm kind of happy with the setup we got. And I don't know. I mean, if I get 10 years out of this thing, I'll be happy as shit, like I did the first gen. But by then, I think there's gonna be something crazy that's gonna come out. So I, like I said, I've always recommended it to people. People, they were like, "Well, I'll just get a smart TV." Like, yeah, you could do that, but the government's gonna listen to you fucking.
Allegedly.
No, it's been proven.
Yeah, I think
That's,
Obama even said, "Yeah, we're doing it, and what?"
the guy was watching, listening to me and shit. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it looks
it,
like it came out in 2013, the first gen, and then after that, like every year, they came up with a new revision. And
they
right
even,
now, yeah, they're doing a Google TV one, which just came out
yeah,
2020.
and they came out with an audio one, so it just focuses on like this weird audio where it like, I saw it, I'm like, this is kind of, I didn't understand it, but I guess people who love music, like who doesn't love music, right? But there was like, they were pushing it for like people who love audio, and it brings like the best quality casting and all this stuff. And I think it was all right because I do see a lot of people buying them on like eBay. I don't know if they made a newer one, but I got mine TV hooked up to a sound bar, and you could hook it up to like a stereo system. And I've never, when I play music, I use that sound bar. That bitch got bass, and I mean it's pretty rocking. So I'm good with that.
You're a connoisseur of music, Andy?
Uh yeah. I mean, who doesn't like music? It's weird if you don't. That's why I always tell the joke that when I was dating before I met my wife, I would meet these women and they're like, I love music. Like, music is my life. I'm like, who the fuck doesn't like music, you know? So if someone's on the profile, I fucking hate music. Like, fuck it. Like, you're never gonna, everybody loves music. Who doesn't, right?
Damn conformist.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. They're like, I love music, you know? And then you, what do you listen to? And then they're like, this and that. And I'm just like, oh, some like bullshit indie stuff. I'm like, it's cool, man. You like what you like. But like, I kind of outgrew that fucking phase. Like in my early 20s, where like I know music, uh, I know music artists that you don't know about, and they're fucking awesome. You know, like I outgrew that shit like a long time ago.
Yeah, I think everybody, for the most part, likes to think that they're the unique one that listens to this band or artist that nobody else listens to. But I don't know, man. To me, it's like I listen to a lot of mainstream stuff, and yeah, I do have like one or two artists that are like niche, like nobody else really listens to them. But yeah, for the most part, I listen to whatever's on the radio and those mainstream artists.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody likes what the fuck they like. I'm not saying like, but I just remember like in my, when I was dating, like that was like on the profiles. I love music. Like, the fuck does that? That doesn't mean anything. Like who the fuck doesn't? Like, oh, I love pets. Like, who doesn't love fucking pets? It's just, to me, it wasn't like you said, the keyword, Danny, unique. Like, there's nothing unique about it. I think I think like if someone put like I fucking hate music, I go, well, okay, that's different, but you get a plus because you're being fucking honest. You know, like nobody
Right.
fucking writes that. So, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I do use, I don't got Spotify or any of that shit. I use Google as my Pandora, or that's what I use. Google Music. I just search fucking albums. So like in the pandemic, I'd be fucking drinking because we are on lockdown, and I'm like, let me think of some albums, and then I just fucking put them up on, connect them to the TV, and and fucking listen to music like some, because anything you can think of, that album's on fucking YouTube.
Now, I think you said you had Amazon Prime. You don't use Amazon
The
Music?
music, yeah, I used it for a while, but then it got like they kept pushing another subscription on me. Did you run into that case? And then like everything I wanted to listen to was on that other subscription, and I had to pay extra for it.
Right. It is a little more selective in the songs that you can pick from, and there is that ultimate, Amazon Music or whatever they call their
Yeah,
package. But yeah, even their free one, it does have a lot of music, and it lets you create profiles, and I use it quite a bit. But you're right. If you're looking for something and you search for it on Amazon Prime and it's behind that paywall, you're like shit. So then you got to go to YouTube and go listen to it on there, because there it's gonna be there for sure. You might have to watch an ad before it starts, but you can listen to it there.
yeah. Like I said, it's tell us what you guys use out there. If you're like a cheap motherfucker like me, use YouTube or you use Spotify or Pandora or Tidal. I don't even know what the fuck's out there. Apple. I had Apple Music or whatever the fuck it's called now, free for a while, and then I used it, but it was super limited. Their library wasn't as big. But I'm gonna change topics here. After this episode drops, we would have we're in America here. We would have had celebrated MLK Day, so Martin Luther King's Jr. Day in the United States, and civil rights leader, and a lot of schools are off. I think the government's closed too for that day, if I remember correctly, and just wanted to say, what growing up, what they taught us in school about, civil rights and Martin Luther King and his message of what he preached about. He was a Christian. I think now they don't talk about it as more, and people dismiss him because he's not pushing the narrative of race. He was more big on character, but he understood the injustice of that African Americans were going through, and that's why he did the protesting and he led the civil rights movement. But some of that now I think got lost because where we're heading. I mean, whatever your thoughts are, what we've been through the last 2 years here with the race issues in America, I think his message got completely lost, and I to this day I don't even know how much of it's taught in schools.
Yeah, I think he was had a lot of great messages. I really liked his message about peace, about communication, about being open with each other. And the main message that I liked is, judge people by their character, by the person that they are, and not necessarily by their color of their skin, their nationality,
Mm-hmm.
their religion, their anything else. Don't judge people by the exterior, judge people by their actions and the things that they're doing. And to me, that was probably one of his greatest messages that I'll always remember from his speeches.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm older. I'm not as young, and we know there is injustice, but that doesn't. When today everything's about race um, and you should prefer, people give them special treatment because of the race. It kind of it doesn't make sense. Like I understand the struggle. I mean, we're people of color, but I mean, everybody's a little bit different. Not everything is, not everything is, I mean, about race, like kind of what they're pushing now, that everything's racist.
Right.
And MLK kind of now people, I mean, on the Twitterverse, they don't quote him as much as they used to, but I think people kind of forgot about him. They're building a statue down in Georgia as a tribute to him because he was a civil rights leader, and he was a man. He had his own struggles, but the message I think got kind of lost over time, especially in the last 3-4 years that we've been going through here in America.
Yeah, I think they dug up a bunch of stuff that maybe he wasn't the greatest or did incorrectly. But who hasn't? I mean, if you look into anybody really that closely, you're gonna find dirt on a bunch of people. So I'm not saying I give him a pass, but at the same time, I don't judge him so hard for his infidelity supposedly to his wife. That's not my concern. That does kind of negatively tarnish um, his character, but at the same time, that's not for me to judge. As long as he wasn't out there killing people and stuff like that. So I think just like everything else, there was people that hated him, and the machine right away started ramping up and started digging up dirt on him.
Yeah, I said do your own research, read about him. I know today, like I think me personally, his Christianity. I think people. That's why people don't talk about him as much because he was a reverend, and I think that put in today what we're going through right now. I think it's a big issue for a lot of people. So they kind of dismiss what he did for Black Americans, and but the message has always been consistent with him. I mean, if you listen to what he said when he gave his, I call them sermons. I mean, people call him speech, but he's preaching. Um, he expressed tolerance, and it's not just about black and white, but character is a big part of it. But we all knew what African Americans were going through at that time. Absolutely, there was injustice. Absolutely, we still need to work on it in this country. But I think his message got lost the last couple years, and they started attacking certain people, and just because of just their race, and something that MLK fought diligently about.
Do you think there will ever be a speaker like Martin Luther King that has a background in religion? Now that a lot of stuff now you don't speak about religion. It's not Christmas, it's the holidays, stuff like that. You think there will ever be a guy to speak like that and really put God into his message?
Is like a political person or something. I
Right.
mean,
To kind of bring
yeah,
people together, but using
nah. I
God.
mean, Biden touts himself as a Catholic. Trump was uh evangelist type of guy, reborn Christians and all that. But I'm not saying that God, to me, God was part of their life, but it was just like a background thing. And like you look at uh America is full with people of leaders and revolutionaries that were people of the men of that were of faith and Christian. But today, slowly, I feel like a lot of that's being pushed off to the side because of that very reason. The slave, I can't think of his name right now. The guy that led some revolts against slavery. He was a preacher. He said that God didn't approve of slavery, and he was I want to say Brown. I think Brown was his last name. It's been a while since I read up on him, but he was a man of faith. And then there's other people, but in recent times, as soon as you bring up anything of faith, people just shit on it. They don't want to hear about it. And I think now I read somewhere that um people in these trying times, they're looking for some type of faith, and they don't go to churches or anything or revivals or anything. They look for something else, and a lot of it, the answer is right there in front of you, but they've been taught to, this is old way of thinking, this started wars, people killed each other, so they look at alternatives, and that's how you get all this weird stuff that I don't understand. I look into it, but I'm like, I don't get it. So I'm not digging too deep in it, but that's how you get this weird stuff with, you know, people with animals and Mother Earth. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad, but I don't get it. I mean, be kind to your fellow man, because is Christians and Catholics were taught, but people don't want to hear that. They think that's antiquated.
Right. No, agreed.
So there'll probably never be. If there is, it's got to be one like kind of Joel Osteen. Like I like Joel Osteen. I know my wife likes him, but the whole money thing kind of like messes up everything, which is cool. But I mean, he does help people. But I feel like people instantly like, oh, look at all the money he got. He ain't a man who's a Christian or whatever, man of faith. And like I kind of get that argument, but also he's spreading the word of Jesus. So what what else do you want him to do? And people dismiss him immediately just because he's rich.
Right. Yeah. No, I could kind of see that. I could see where
But
that argument is.
let us know what you guys think. If there's anybody in current times that talks about faith who's some type of a leader, at ffnquestions@gmail.com. But we're gonna move on here. We were talking about Chromecast earlier. I see Danny saw the Matrix movie. Were you able to stream that on your TV, or you had to do some crazy hookup? Because you know what, I saw the trailer and Neo and the other girl looked old to me. I'm like, I don't want to watch it. And actually, last night, me and my wife's like, "Can we watch the Matrix movie?" And I'm like, I heard it's not that good. So, what do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I think the last this recent one is called Resurrection, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember right. It's the fourth one in the mainline movies. There's been some animated and some video games and other stuff like that, but this is the fourth mainline movie. And I gotta say, the first three, the first one was great. Second one was okay. The last one, the third one, it wasn't that good. At least that's how I kind of recall the first three, and it's been a while since I've seen them. This new fourth one, I gotta say, it's about where that third one is. It's not that great. Um, Good action, some good CGI, but to me, the story is convoluted. It's kind of kind of what like the Marvel movies have been doing lately with all this like not that there's a problem with it, but it's like all this like women power. Women are the strongest.
Feminist stuff,
Yeah, and
woke politics.
Neil is supposed to be the savior of the Matrix, or at least that's what he was the first three movies. And he was the guy. He was the one. That was his name, the one. He was the one that
Mm-hmm.
was gonna fix everything. And in this fourth movie, he is not the one. He's actually like a back character, and these women are the women of power and the ones that are going to save this new humanity. And I found it kind of against the first three movies, story wise. Also, to bring a lot of these characters back, they really kind of try to make sense of it, but kind of retconned a few of it to kind of just like plug it in and be like, hey, I thought this wasn't possible. No, well, we put this virus and then it did it. And it's just like, okay. And they just kind of pass it off as that's the way they got around this, big rule that you couldn't get across in the first couple of movies. So,
Right.
um, it, I'm not the Matrix expert by any means. So maybe I'm misremembering stuff. But when I was watching this new one, had it not watched the previous three for maybe like 5 years, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. There was a lot of stuff that to me didn't make sense. Now, is it a terrible movie? Definitely don't watch it. I wouldn't say that. I would say if you're a Matrix fan, definitely go out there, watch it. You're probably going to get some enjoyment. I thought the best parts of it was when it was making fun of itself, actually. They do break the fourth wall a little bit, and they acknowledge that the first three movies are a video game almost. They acknowledge that the first three movies of Neo's life is kind of a fantasy, and now this fourth movie is like the real life, looking back at
Nah,
this fantasy from the
you
first three
just ruined
movies.
it. I don't. I read some stuff. And if they're going down this route,
Well,
I
they
guess I gotta
that's
watch it to shit on it. But I'm in no rush to watch now after you're telling me this.
well, it's not reality. It's the what they're playing with to try to get these
It's like
characters
it's a
back.
version that you misremembered, or
Right,
like
right,
like
something like
they
that.
did with the Saints of Newark, The Sopranos. Like there was this scene, like we talked about it, but it's a version. The critics say it's Tony when he talked about it in the show, he
It's the way he remembers.
misremembered, and what you
Right.
saw in the movies and what actually happened. And I'm just like, oh fuck this. They're
Right.
twisting shit around to fit their whatever they need done.
That's the way I kind of felt. I felt like the first three movies are there and they're canon, but not really. This is the way it really
This is
happened.
where
And these
really
are
they in
right,
that movie. They're like, this is what really happened. You missed,
right.
yeah.
It was
Oh
something like
man,
that.
yeah,
It was something like that, and it kind of turned me off, man. I gotta admit, it kind of turned me off. At the end, let's just say Nero does not save the
of course
world.
not. Yeah,
He doesn't save the world. He's weak or weaker than some of the other characters, and he needs the help of
the other characters.
all these strong women characters to help him. And nothing against the women characters, but that's not what this story is. That's not what the Matrix is. If you want to make it where there's three strong women that help this weak Nero character, then go make that movie, but it's not the Matrix. That's to me, that's not what it is. So I found it a little disappointed. It's close to where about the third one is in my list. So if I had to rank them 1 through 4, I would have to see how I feel that day, but it would either be number 3 or the worst one, number 4. So it's definitely not at the top of the Matrix movies that I liked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I saw the poster, and I'm just like, I saw the trailer, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'll check it out. I got HBO Max, but then the reviews started trickling down, and I'm like I can't wait to watch this. I'm in no rush, and like my gut was telling me it'd be something like what you're describing, like he's gonna need help from all these people, even though in the first three movies he was like the messiah. He was
Right.
like he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. Like he met the creator of the whatever the fuck. And now I'm just like, and this one I was like, they're probably gonna fucking say he wasn't shit, and then he's gonna need kind of like that super Star Wars where Ray along they fucking had a red crown, and like she's actually like the most badass fucking Jedi ever. Like they
Right.
just because they don't know what else to do with her, and like that was just bad writing. But yeah, I mean in the climate that we're at right now with movies, that's my whole problem with the movies. It's there's like I don't know, like I don't want to say an agenda, but yeah, I mean they just instantly they're whatever guy you think used to be a badass is like he's not a badass, and we're gonna show you why. And then this this someone's gonna come up and then one up that guy, and it's 9 out of 10 times it's not a woman, or 9 out of 10 times it's not a man, it's a woman.
Right.
And that story, I get it, it was cool like once or twice, but now it's just like you guys, this shit ain't working. The movies are tanking. Nobody's going to watch them when they read this, and then they continue to make them.
Now look, I don't think it's anything against women being
No,
powerful.
yeah,
I mean,
right.
there's movies where women are the lead actor, and that's what that movie is, and it's fine,
Which is fine, yeah.
which is
Like Wonder
fine.
Woman,
Right.
like she's strong. She's always been strong. She's been a badass. But even in the movie that just came out, the '84 one, people were shitting on it. Like, oh, she's doing this and she's not this. They weren't happy with how they portrayed her, and I'm just like, but that's who she is to an extent, and people weren't happy about that. And it's like you can't fucking win.
Yeah. So I don't know. Matrix, if you're a fan, I'm sure you're gonna find some enjoyment of it. The nostalgia was definitely cool seeing some of these older characters. The other thing that I found was weird that there was a couple characters that didn't come back, so they just created new characters, and they're like, "Yeah, it's the computer. We can put whatever image we want. We can change to core." And I'm just like, "What?" I'm like,
It's Windows
"Okay."
95, man. Come on.
I'm like, just say that Morpheus didn't want to come back, and here's this new guy that is Morpheus now. I'm like, whatever,
A
dude.
younger one, right? Yeah.
But yeah, the movie is what it was. I enjoyed it for what it is. I didn't go in with some high expectations, so I think that's why maybe I'm not shitting it as much, because I kind of felt like it wasn't going to be that great, and I was left with what I thought it was going to be.
Real quick, then, did you watch a Netflix the Cowboy Bo Peep live action show? Oh,
No,
were you a fan of that manga or that anime?
no, I knew of it, and
Okay.
I know it was popular, but I was never a huge fan. But I did see that they had a live action
And it got
show.
canceled after 1 year, and I thought it was something to like the Matrix type of deal, but I didn't watch it. I thought maybe you watched it.
No, no, no. Unfortunately, no. I didn't. I know
Okay.
Noel probably watched it. Next time Noel's on, maybe we could ask him. But just kind of quickly, just to talk about some other thing in my week. Sling, like I mentioned before, I've been using it to watch football. Now that I moved out here to the boonies, my antenna sucks and I can't get channels. So I subscribe to Sling to watch my local channels. So it gives me channels 5, 7, um, channel 32, and I think that's it. And then it gives me a bunch of other channels. Like it gives me uh, FS1 and a couple other the National Geographic channel and some other ones. But mostly what I use it is for Fox because I want to watch my Fox football, and I already had a Paramount subscription, so then I watch CBS on there. But yeah, man, I watch Sling on football, and I gotta say, I'm kind of thinking of keeping it going even after football, but it's all these subscriptions that I got right now. They're starting to add up. I'm starting to think it's almost like having cable. So I'm thinking of getting rid of it, especially Paramount. Paramount's app is terrible. That I
Really?
only Yeah. The only reason I enjoy it is because Star Trek Next Generation, so I watch it. But I'm like, I could watch Next Generation in a couple other platforms that to me it's not worth it. And then I was watching it for like Yellowstone and some other programs, but their app is so terrible. I was just watching something this morning with Alana and it crashed again. And I was just like, this is like the only program that constantly gives me problems. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, they all, sometimes there are little things, but for the most part, they work. And Paramount, I don't care. I got it on a smart TV. I got it on the tablet. Same thing. Everywhere I play it, the app sucks. So I don't know. I might get rid of that for sure. And I'm kind of contemplating Sling. I don't know if you've ever even contemplated using that.
Yeah, I was looking at Sling for a while and YouTube TV because I don't have cable either. But I found my antenna gets every channel just about on a good day, except channel CBS. But I got some website to watch CBS. I recently started using Tubi. I don't know if you use that one, and that has the local Fox News on there. I don't know if you knew that. If you
Oh,
for
okay.
like local news, Tubi is owned by Fox, and they have some like it's kind of like Pluto. I don't know if you use Pluto. It's the same thing. They got a bunch of just like those streaming channels, and they upload a lot of movies on there, so it's not too bad. Um, but yeah, I I don't have the only subscriptions I got is HBO Max, the Amazon Prime and Hulu, and we share. My sister let us share the Netflix and my wife's new favorite app, that Discovery Plus. So she uses the shit out of that one. But I'm like you. I used to have Disney Plus and all that other stuff, but I made a conscious effort not to re-up or buy. See what kind of Black Friday deal they had. They didn't have anything, so I mean we're pretty good. We've been getting by, and once in a while I'm like, I do miss Disney Plus because they had The Simpsons on there, and I saw a thing this past year, a couple weeks ago, that Disney Plus the most streamed thing is The Simpsons because they have every fucking season on there.
Yeah, and I enjoy these streaming sites because you could see anything on demand when you want to, but man, it's starting to add up. So I'm thinking after football's done, we got a couple more weeks. Or the playoffs right now, not the Bears, but the playoffs started for the NFL. So I'm thinking after the Super Bowl, I'm probably gonna end up cutting two or three of these services and kind of streamline again for a minute until football starts up again. But yeah, Sling has been
You
cool.
have to make decisions, man. I don't know. It's Sling. Like I said, I looked into it. I think it was very affordable, but I wasn't feeling the channels that they were giving you. What I recall like a year and a half ago.
I mean, I liked watching it for even in the morning. I would use it to watch Fox News because that's usually the news that I watch. But yeah, I might have to check out this Tubi one, and if they got something on my smart TV, maybe I'll start watching Fox News through there. But yeah,
Yeah,
Sling was a half decent app. Sometimes it'd be a little quirky, but it would work, and streaming worked fairly well. So might have to get rid of it after football, but definitely a
don't
half
you want to
decent app
watch
that.
the USFL, man?
Yeah, man. I've been seeing more and more of those commercials, and it is giving me a little pump for it, man. I gotta be honest. So, uh, yeah, man. I might have to see about watching that, but maybe without Sling. Have to see if I can find some other ways to watch it.
I
But
remember the XFL when they first bounced back, and I remember
right.
people were streaming the games on like Facebook, and I found these groups. But whatever, I'm assuming somebody's gonna be doing the same shit for the USFL.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing I liked about Sling was that it had a DVR function to it. So you would go through the channels, and since it's live, you would pick something and it would record it when it comes on. And so you could be watching something else totally different. You could watch live TV on your phone wherever you were. So it had a lot of neat features that for a half decent price. I mean, I think it's like $25 a month or something like that for live
Yeah,
TV.
it was definitely one of more of the affordable ones. I'll
Right.
give you that. Yeah.
So it was cool. I enjoyed it, but might have to jump ship. But Andy, I think it's time to jump into our article of the week. All right, Andy. Here's our article of the week, man. It's kind of like what you had mentioned with the smart TVs. Is somebody listening to us? Well, this time Alexa was listening to this little kid, and there it is in the background trying to listen to me now. Uh, and this kid asked for a challenge to the Echo device, and guess what? The Echo device told this kid, "Hey, why don't you stick a something in between a half inserted plug in the outlet and connect the two contacts?" And I guess this kind of shows that our electronics coming after us.
Yeah, it says plug in a phone charger about halfway into a wall outlet, then touch a penny to the exposed prongs. It said.
Right. This is a family in Minnesota. The kid's 10 years old. I've asked questions sometimes to my Echo device, and it does sometimes give you a weird response. It obviously doesn't recognize everything 100% what you're trying to say. This kid is 10 years old, so I imagine maybe the kid doesn't, enunciate correctly. So I'm not sure what the Echo device thought she was trying to say, or maybe it did hear it correctly, but it was so convoluted that this is like, all right, all I'm gonna do is Google what you just told me and show you what Google tells me is the challenge. And from that was this challenge to half plug something in the outlet and connect it with a quarter or a penny or whatever. So I don't know, man. Seems kind of weird, but it just shows you that don't take everything that Alexa tells you. It definitely vet it out, look at it, and it's a fun tool, but it's not something to just take its word for it.
Yeah, man. I'm like, I know you guys use them, and I know a lot of people that use them. I got family members use it. I'm not crazy about it. I'm not crazy about. I got an Echo for Christmas a couple years back. I sold it. This year I got a Google Nest. The doorbell stuff.
Cool.
I'm probably gonna return it because I'm not a big fan of those things. And then I got Siri once in a while. I'll say you hear the spring, the like the the echo or the acknowledgement, but I'm just not crazy about this. We already know about the privacy concerns, and then you see stuff like this, and I don't know. I mean, the conspiracy nut in myself here that I am. Um, Maybe it is AI, or maybe they got something running and it's trying it's turning into Skynet before our eyes. But it's just another thing that it has to be controlled. And like the Google spokesperson said, "Oh, we fixed it." And I'm like, well, what did they don't really tell you what they do? We fixed it, so I don't know if something in an algorithm or it needed an update. You really don't get those details. And I always think about that Simpsons episode where Bart gets a Krusty doll. It's a Treehouse of Terror episode, and Krusty is trying to kill Homer. And then Marge calls the 1-800 number. They send the repair guy, and he's like, "Oh, here's your problem. He was set to evil," and then he just flips the switch, and then
Right.
that doll's like all helpful and shit now, and he got some doing all these chores. Like, did they just flip a switch on and go, "Oh, hey, stop telling kids to kill themselves. Here, do this now." Like they just
Right.
deleted that line of code or something. So that's my concern.
I know when you buy these devices, you usually go through like a voice training thing where you have to speak a certain words to it so that it could recognize your dialect and recognize how you enunciate words so that it could best search what you're asking it to search for. That would be my guess, is that it's a 10-year-old kid, probably didn't say something 100% correct, or the device just didn't recognize it 100% correct, and it and maybe it put this up because it wasn't a simple yes and no. What year did Martin Luther King die or whatever. It wasn't a clear enough yes or no, so that it went to Google, because that is it's uh, if it can't figure it out, it goes back to Google, and then it'll say something like, well, this is what Google says. And then it'll either show it to you on the screen if you have like an Echo show, or it'll show it on your phone, or in some cases, it'll even read it to you and kind of read you just what the first paragraph says. So that'd be my guess. It's kind of crazy and conspiracy to think that it would say this, but I don't think there was anything malicious to it. I just think that it misheard something and it answered the question the best way it could.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's TikTok videos of people ask Alexa like a bunch of questions and it won't answer it. Have you seen any of those videos, Dan?
Yeah, I've seen a few.
So that kind of leads me into like this, and like my old school self, I'm thinking like, hey Alexa, I need a challenge. I've been like, I'm bored or something. I'm like, why don't Alexa say like, grab a broom and start sweeping or something, instead of like trying to go get yourself burnt up. But yeah, man, this stuff is I'm leery of it. Like I said, stuff like this, and I don't know. I just go to a Google homepage and just fucking search shit out. I don't like asking robots yet. I barely use the Siri command. I know we got a remote here that you could talk into and all this crap. I don't do any of that. I mean, I don't know how much of it you or your family does.
Yeah, I mean, I use a lot of voice stuff um, all throughout the house. We have a Ring for our alarm system, for the cameras and the door touch sensors or whatever, and I use it all the time. I mean, I hardly ever unlock and lock with my phone or by touching the keypad. Everything is almost voice. I just yell out, "Hey, Echo." Unlock Ring, and then it'll ask me for my code. I unlock it, and then I can open the door. So I use that all the time. Um, if I need to see a camera that's outside, I'll ask it because we have one of those with a display on it, and then it'll show me what's going on outside. So I do use it quite a bit. I don't really um, do much, tactile, like typing in questions. Most of it, I will throw it to my Echo device. And for the most part, it works out pretty well. I don't usually have any issues. Sometimes you'll get a funny thing where you'll ask it something and it'll be something off of left field that you didn't even mean. And it's just like, Jesus, where did you get that? And what did you think I was trying to say?
Yeah, in previous episodes, I think we talked about the some of these voice command home. I forgot what the technical term is for them. The things you talk into at your house, those helpers. And I remember, I think it was an article or someone brought it up where the thing was laughing back at you, like an evil laugh, and then and it told them to do some weird stuff, and it just. I'm assuming it's some type of glitch, but it's still it's gonna be interesting to see how far along with new updates, how this stuff's gonna keep up going, and how much of it's gonna be more and more part of our lives. Because, like I said, I got voice command stuff too, but I don't use it at most. I use Siri, and I'd like to set up an alarm or a timer, but that's about it. I mean, I don't use anything else.
Yeah, it's weird, Andy, because I'm telling you, I use it a lot. I mean, even in the car when I was driving, I mentioned that I went to Culver's yesterday. I typed in, I pressed the button for the voice recognition, and I told it directions to Culver's, and it didn't. I guess I wasn't enunciating Culver's correctly.
You
Uh, that,
foreigner.
so it was sending me somewhere else. It wasn't even recognized Culver's until I said Culver's. I think it was frozen custards, and then finally it knew what I was talking about. But yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
use that stuff all the time.
Like I said, I knew a guy, a coworker who since retired. When he would search something, he would get his phone out, and he had an Android phone, and you go to Google, and you hit the microphone button, and he would always talk into it. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. He's an
Right?
older
Yeah,
gentleman, and
yeah.
I
He
always
used to do it
found
all the
it
time.
very fucking strange. But he did it all the time. I'm like, hey, so and so, like, what do you know about this? What's that? I don't know. And then he'd get his phone out and he'd like get the Google app, sir, blah blah blah, and I just like you see the results, and sometimes it would work, and sometimes it wouldn't. He'd get like pissed and he'd start typing. I'm like, why does he do that? Why don't you just fucking type it, And like to me, I found it not funny, but I found it kind of fucking strange. I don't know if he was like just trying to be like, yeah, I'm up on new shit, or he was just like, I don't know, he prefer it or not, or he didn't want to put out his glasses. I don't know.
He would use it all the time. I always thought it was really weird,
Right?
just because when I do go to Google and I start typing it, I kind of see what it'll pre-fill for me
Yes.
and kind of be like, oh yeah, yeah, that's what I want, and then I'll click on it. But sometimes he would ask something and he would kind of like run around his sentence.
Yes.
He'd be like, what was the last year of the World Fair that I think is in Indiana? He'll kind of like run around, and by the time he was done, it was like this long paragraph that he asked Google, and then Google would just spit something out randomly, and he'd be like, oh man, that's not what I wanted.
One time I heard
Uh,
Google go, eh. Yeah, yeah, it was yeah, it was just strange, dude. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. It's just like just fucking type it in, bro. Like it's cool.
right, right.
But speaking of me, we got to get out of here, everybody. We want to thank you for listening. Remember, you can follow Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter on the Freeform Network. Send your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Let us know what's going on. Let us know we're doing a good job. Let us know what you ask your home device when you do voice commands, and does it work for you. Check out our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There's our archive, all the older episodes. We're on a ton of platforms. You know, if you, whatever platform you use, please subscribe, like, comment. That helps us out. And we are getting, I don't know, a lot of them are starting to get bought out. They're consolidating. So, but we're on the big three, you know, iTunes, we're on YouTube, and we're on Stitcher, and I consider those the top three. I could be wrong. I think we're even on Spotify, maybe. We should be on there, right, Dan?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I said. We're you, whatever you listen to, we're on there. Just do us a favor, comment, subscribe, interact with us. We'd appreciate that. And this is Freeform Radio. We got Danny.
Yes, sir. Go out there, guys. Enjoy your days, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
And it's all good, Andy. You guys have a good week. Here in the Midwest, it's cold. This is when I wish I lived in the West Coast, but it's all good. We're going to talk to you guys next week, and stay safe and have a good week.
That was cool, Dad.